What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day today. Bitcoin is still struggling to break above this resistance right here. Very critical. If we can get above this $46,800 level and hold above it, well, then it could be green skies or blue skies, but green candle skies for Bitcoin, right? Also today, massive news. A Bitcoin milestone has been hit, and it is quite significant. I do want to talk about that. However, there has been a Bitcoin wallet that recently moved 6,800 Bitcoin. Now, you might be saying, okay, big deal, 6,800 Bitcoin. That's not enough to really move the markets. True, but it wasn't the amount that was moved. It was who owns that wallet and why they might be moving the Bitcoin. That is a little bit concerning to everyone right now. Also, I do want to talk about the fact that Goldman Sachs is looking to follow in the footsteps of Morgan Stanley. They're going to be rolling out their crypto services soon. And finally, we did see that bill from the EU, or that critical vote. Now, some people were saying it wasn't official yet, but it was quite an infringement on the privacy of a lot of people. Well, it does look like we have US senators right now fighting back to make sure that that same thing doesn't happen here in the US. So we're going to talk about all that if that sounds good to you. Obviously, we're going to go over the short-term price action as well if you guys are looking to trade. And one more final reminder, guys, if you are going to Bitcoin Miami, the tickets have increased, but if you want to get 10% off, use the code ZOMBIE. And also, this is brand new, but if you're going to be there on April 6th, they are doing a Miami kickoff party, and they're going to have Diplo and Bassjackers, so I'm going to be there. This is presented by the Rare Vibes Club. If you want to get 10% off on this as well, you can use the code ZOMBIE over there. Now, these are two different things, okay? This is an extra $200 if you want to go. I'll be there hanging out. It's a really nice venue. It's got this kind of cool, futuristic, but also modern vibe to it. So if you guys want to hang out with me, those links are going to be below in the video's description. So go down below if you're interested, 10% off. But that being said, guys, thank you again. If you are new, if you haven't subscribed yet, if you just joined the zombie wagon, well, welcome to the party, guys, because Bitcoin has been definitely looking quite strong lately. Now, if you were here, we called this basically, obviously we did know that we were going to dip a little bit because this often does happen when you have these sell-offs. It tends to overshoot a little bit, but for the most part, guys, we did have some nice support here. And once again, we're finding our, selves at that resistance. So as you can see right here, this is the level that we were looking at, this red line right here. And the reason that we were looking for that to be flip support is because of all the times that we couldn't break through. Right here we tried twice here, we tried here, we came up, we came down, we flipped the resistance as support, which was exactly what I wanted, what we needed to do. So the pullback that we had was arguably a bullish pullback, if you can call it that, because it reestablished the resistance as support, and now we are struggling once again to break upwards. Now, I just want to point out that we are still ultimately, in this giant ascending wedge, which traditionally is a bearish pattern, but considering the way that Bitcoin has been consolidating for the past year and a half, I don't know that I would necessarily consider it bearish. Is there a possibility of coming down here? Of course, guys, there's always a chance something happens, some bad news comes out, whales start dumping, but ultimately we still are trending higher and higher, and we're putting in higher lows and higher highs and higher lows. So as you can see right here, like, the area that we need to break is basically breaking this resistance here. And then I believe that the next target will be right here at around $52,000 even, which at that point, I would expect a pullback, right? Maybe even back down to that $48,000 level. So that's sort of what I'm looking at. Break 48,000, 48,600, depending on what chart you look at. Next target is 52,000. And then I do think we'll have a pullback again, back down to this $48,000 level. Obviously, if things go the other way, if we do end up breaking down below 44,600, then I think we have a lot of support right here. We have this upward sloping trend right here. And we also have this support, resistance, support, is kind of flipping back and forth right here. So this inflection point puts us pretty much exactly at 39,400. So it would be quite unlikely to see Bitcoin really go below $40,000 for any substantial amount of time, but the levels to keep our eyes on, as I pointed out, was that, and also this totally flat 200 daily moving average right here, which is sitting exactly at 48,300. So really that $48,000 level is like kind of what we're looking at, between 46 and 48 essentially. And we are looking to have a golden cross on the 50 moving over the 100 on the daily, which is very strong. And you could see this green line right here, the exponential, has been providing a lot of support as well. So it is looking a lot more bullish for Bitcoin. But, you know, there was one thing that actually happened. Now, we've been sort of waiting for this hash ribbon indicator, right? But don't forget, we did have the ribbon flash 8 months ago last year in August, right? So, you know, some people are saying, well, you know, it flashed, we had our green, and then we came back. But don't forget, guys, that we're not really following the 4-year cycle the way that Bitcoin had done the first 3 times. In fact, that's where a lot of this criticism is sort of coming in for Plan B stock to flow, right? The stock to flow model essentially is the colors represent the time after and leading up to the halving. So everybody goes, you know, back here, we hit yellow, that was the top. And then, you know, we dumped all the way back down, and then green, you know, green to blue was the accumulation zone. You can see the same thing right here, right? Yellow topped out, we came down, and then the green area was the accumulation zone. So, you know, according to this, if that's the case, then the yellow means we have already topped out, and then we need to continue lower, which is why some people are saying that the cycle is over, and they're also saying that this model doesn't work anymore. But what they're not taking into consideration is these lengthening cycles that we've talked about. Now, everybody is anticipating the Bitcoin halving. We know it's not a surprise anymore. This news is factored in. We know what's coming, right? So I believe that we will see Bitcoin eventually get back up to these stock to flow levels. I think it's just going to take a little bit longer than we had recently. And, you know, just keep in mind, just because it happened 2 times doesn't mean it has to happen a 3rd time. Because if we actually take the first data from back here, well, we actually had Bitcoin pumping during the green. Right? So, I mean, we only really have 3 cycles to look at. If you were a man of science or a woman of science, is 2 samples really enough? 3 samples? No, it's not, guys. So ultimately, it's, you know, it worked for a while, but now we are playing a much bigger game. And the big news today, like Dennis Porter mentioned, is that the first 19 million Bitcoin were mined in 13 years. The next 2 million will take 120 years. Scarcity intensifying. Now, he's saying this because actually, literally, the 19 millionth Bitcoin was in fact mined yesterday. Now, this means there are only 19, 20, 21. There's only 2 million left, right? So this is definitely getting pretty crazy, but the thing that is even more nuts is, according to Chainalysis, which is a blockchain analytics company, 1/5 of all of those Bitcoin are estimated to be lost, right? So they're gone forever. That makes Bitcoin even more scarce. And Satoshi, we know he has his wallet. A lot of people think he's dead. I know Craig Wright came out on Kitco News and claims he's Satoshi. I don't believe he's Satoshi at all. I mean, at this point, if the guy's Satoshi, move a Bitcoin, move a fraction of a Bitcoin, prove that you are Satoshi. All you do is talk about it. You have no proof, right? But I'll leave that rant for another day. Anyway, there is a lot of Bitcoin that's been lost. Satoshi has his, and with the number of new Bitcoins released per block slashed every 4 years by half, there are some experts that anticipate that by around 2140, none of us are going to be here by 2140 unless, you know, maybe in our lifetime they come up with some really crazy ways to increase longevity. Essentially, you know, you have a very, very long time until the rest of those Bitcoin come out. And once they realize this, which I think they're starting to realize this, they are definitely going to be scrambling for that scarcity. Now, it's not only that. We saw hash rate hitting an all-time high, which shows that the network is also the strongest, right? We have the miners securing the network, and the network difficulty, which, by the way, these are the raw values behind me. This is not an average. These are raw values, actually recently just hit an all-time high, which means that it is the most difficult to mine on the Bitcoin network right now. So difficulty increases with miners trying to compete, which means that today there are the most amount of miners securing the network and competing for the difficulty. So why would they be still turning their machines on if they were scared about Bitcoin, if they were worried about the Bitcoin price? obviously, guys, you got to see what's going on right now. And that's the fact that these guys are getting scared. They're getting desperate. I mean, even Do Kwon over at Terra Luna, these guys are trying to be the biggest Bitcoin holders underneath Satoshi.
I think if we scale that to $10 billion, so the reason why I want to get to 10 billion is that besides Satoshi, we will be the largest single holder of Bitcoin in the world. Now, then in that case, like within the crypto industry, then the failure of UST is equivalent to the failure of crypto itself, right? Because if the largest single wallet like sells off all the Bitcoin, then that's an issue.
So we've seen the miners turning on their miners, raising the hash rate, mining difficulty going up, only 2 million Bitcoin left. Do Kwon and friends are buying all the Bitcoin up right now. And also, we have the newly appointed global head of digital assets for Goldman Sachs private wealth management division, Mary Catherine Rich, announcing that the bank will soon offer investments in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies to its clients within its private wealth management group. Now, keep in mind, this is sort of what we were seeing with Morgan Stanley. And now they're moving in. So you're seeing the banks getting interested. You're seeing these, people that actually custody for others getting interested. In addition, she added that the firm is looking into the possibility of offering a complete cryptocurrency investment toolkit through different types of investments. Thanks to new regulators being applied worldwide, more and more banks and investment funds want to include digital assets in their wealth management strategies and services. Look, the demand for cryptocurrencies is attracting the attention of big banks. And quote, they say there's a contingent of clients who are looking to this asset as a hedge against inflation. And the macro backdrop over the past year has certainly played into that. There are also a large contingent of clients who feel like we're sitting at the dawn of a new internet in some way and are looking to participate in that space. Now, these are all things that we know and we believe in. And if you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, you already know how we feel about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but now the masses are starting to wake up. And not only that, but it was a little upsetting what we had seen come out from the EU over the past few days. But what we are seeing now is U.S. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, who has been quite vocal about Bitcoin recently, is proposing a bill that would prevent the U.S. government from developing a central bank digital currency that could be used to monitor the financial transactions of American citizens. Cruz says that the bill aims to stifle any attempts the government would take to centralize cryptocurrencies. The federal government has the ability to encourage and nurture innovation in the cryptocurrency space or to completely devastate it. The bill goes a long way in making sure big government doesn't attempt to centralize and control cryptocurrency so that it can continue to thrive and prosper in the United States. So this is really cool to see, people like Ted Cruz and Cynthia Lummis coming out and going against, Elizabeth Warren, who obviously clearly doesn't understand Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin specifically, right? He says we should be empowering entrepreneurs, enabling innovation, and increasing individual freedom, not stifling it. So Emmer says that he supports Cruz's bill because it would prevent the United States from becoming like China and spying on its citizens. Now, we already know that they're spying on us anyway. We know that the cameras on our phones and everything else are watching you and, the NSA and all that other stuff. But for the most part, actually had to just check my camera right now. Are you guys spying on me? Are they spying? I don't care, guys. I do this publicly. What does it matter? But anyway, so getting back to the news that had some people freaking out, right? So we know that Mt. Gox has been talking for years about releasing these funds, the trustee, they're going to release it. And then everyone's afraid that once they get all their money, they're just going to dump it because it's increased so much. Well, this actually happened. There was a wallet belonging to the infamous Bitcoin exchange that transferred 6,800 Bitcoin to an unknown wallet. Now, this came out just days after the former CEO Mark Karpelès revealed plans to redistribute the Bitcoin, which is now, I guess, according to them, worth about $6 billion to their creditors. Now, there were 800,000+ Bitcoin that were compromised. I think some of them got lost. Some of them got stolen forever. I don't know the full details, but they did disclose that the exchange had roughly 200,000 Bitcoin in possession during the closure of the company, with the trustee selling about 50,000 for about $6 million in the past. Now, according to Carpellis, the remaining 150,000 Bitcoin currently held by Mt. Gox has grown to 6 billion. After this revelation, the CEO confirmed plans to redistribute the money and settle scores within the creditors. So the reason that people are freaking out is because it has been a lot of talk for quite a long time, but just recently, they actually did finally, as you can see right here, whale alert, this was transferred from the Mt. Gox cold wallet. So people are actually starting to be like, okay, maybe they're really going to go through with it this time. Maybe this is the real deal. This is finally happening. So let me just, once again, if you don't know my feelings on this, could it potentially affect the market? Of course it could. Could it crash the price short term? Sure, absolutely. Will it? I don't know. A lot of people that were invested in Bitcoin back then probably were either early believers in it or they were using it to do some crazy, probably illegal stuff on the dark web. I don't know. But they were traders or they were just holding it. They wanted to have some Bitcoin. So I think that they believe in it. I don't think they would sell it all. But let's just say, hypothetically, devil's advocate, let's say that they did get their funds back and they just completely dumped it on the market. You know what? In my honest opinion, yeah, it would screw things up. It would mess the market up. But the same way that COVID kind of black swan event, right? We had that crazy V shape and then we just kind of went back to, where we were. I mean, honestly, if you do look at the COVID crash, just for example, back here, and obviously this is the hash ribbons and the super guppy as well. But I mean, if you just ignore this little dip right here, we were basically just flatlining. We were just kind of cruising. So this was the black swan event. So I just think it would be something like that. The black swan event, everybody dumps. Okay, markets get a little bit crazy. Maybe we go off the rails for a couple weeks. And then ultimately, I think that everything would just level back out. And honestly, I would love for this to happen because then we could just move on and we could be over with it. So that is that for that. And getting back to yesterday, I did say I wasn't going to bring it up again, but Colt DAO, I actually did have an opportunity to truly read the manifesto. It is quite interesting. And I was looking into DAOs. That was one of my big picks. If you go back and you watch the video that I made in the beginning of the year, I said that DAOs were something I was going to be keeping my eyes on. And at first it looks a little bit silly, but the more I look into it, the more I actually like what I see. And it has gone up 95%. Let's see, 6, 8, all right, 79, 80. So, considering yesterday when we put the video up, if you did buy, you got to be in profit today. So, if you bought yesterday, you're definitely in profit today. So I don't want to hear anyone saying that the price crashed or anything because, it's up almost 100%. So very, very interesting. I will keep my eye on this project, see what's up with it. And another project that's actually down today, but we did speak about was Steppen. GMT, but you can see that we were talking about this at the pre-sale. Hopefully you guys were able to get in on that. And it's essentially, it came out at 13 cents. It's rocketed all the way up to $2.72. And I just wanted to bring this up to you because they are doing their first quarterly GMT buyback. So they generated profits of about 26.8 million from the NFT marketplace. In order to create more value, we will be using the profit to buy back and burn GMT on chain from secondary markets. They say, please note that this process can take up to a month to complete to avoid causing sudden price volatility. So maybe it's just the markets. Who knows what's going on? But it's been very, very good, very lucrative lately. We called that call with the CME futures gap. Colt DAO up 100% at one point in the past 24 hours. Steppen down today, but since we called it, which we talked about it at the the original release of it, 13 cents all the way up to $2.73. So it's been quite good, guys, for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Friendly reminder, if you're going to this, definitely check that out. And if you want to go to the Diplo party, which is a separate thing, it's happening the 6th. If you want to go to that, guys, check that out below. I will leave the link and make sure you use the code ZOMBIE if you want 10% off. And by the way, I'm probably going to be there. I'm stopping by. I'm hanging out. So it would be nice to meet you guys. And that's about it for today. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. And of course, as usual, if you want to learn how to trade cryptocurrencies profitably, responsibly, and you want over $8,000 in bonuses, check these videos popping up right here, right now. Links in the description, bonuses below. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.